When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Think you know the Brooks Ghost? Think again. Introducing the all-new, better-than-ever Ghost 16. Now with nitrogen-infused cushioning for lightweight, supreme softness that feels good every step, every street, every single day. So go ahead, take your daily joyride in the all-new nitrogen-infused Ghost 16. It'll turn your everyday miles into everyday endorphins. Let's run there. Head to brooksrunning.com to learn more.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AEye Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AEye Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AEye Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, welcome to AEye Scouted on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Dave Hendrick, joined as always by Mr. Karl Matchett. How are you, sir?
Certainly one day closer to watching some football again, and I still don't know how I feel about that, if I'm being honest.
I know I've been enjoying the summer break, but I suppose it is about time that, we got back to normality and routine of the Premier League. And as part of that, we are doing a 4-part, well, actually kind of 4.5-part Premier League preview. We have already released our preview of Arsenal, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Brentford and Brighton. That was part 1. And in this part 2, we will do Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Everton, Fulham and Ipswich. So obviously, Karl, we'll start with Chelsea, who have a new manager in Enzo Maresca, who replaces Maurizio Pochettino, who replaced Frank Lampard, who replaced Graham Potter, who replaced Thomas Tuchel. And that's just in the last 2 years since Todd Bowley and the circus came to town. They have spent money relentlessly since this ownership took over. This summer, they've signed Omari Kellyman, Tosin Adarabioyo, Mark Gui, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, Renato Viega, Caleb Wiley, Philippe Jorgensen, Mike Pender might be on his way, Samu Omadion is apparently on his way. And you know what's funny, Karl, is if you showed that transfer window to somebody and didn't tell them what club it was and they didn't know, they would guess it was Crystal Palace, Brighton, Brentford or Bournemouth. They would not guess that that was a Chelsea transfer window. In particular, bringing in a championship manager with 1 season under his belt. This is a very, very odd summer for Chelsea Football Club.
I would love to know the interior discussion of the official ambition for today, for this season. Genuinely, what do the top folk at the club think is achievable and is their bottom line? This is what we need to achieve for this season. It would be a really, really interesting thing to hear. I don't think this squad is top 5 in the league. I think that there's certain components of this squad which could be top 3, let's say, but they are few and far between. And much, much, much more importantly, there isn't yet a way where they all fit together. we still don't really know how Chelsea are going to not line up, but how they are going to align themselves formation-wise, off-the-ball-wise, what their main avenues of creativity and build-up play are going to be between middle and final thirds. Like, you couldn't pick, I wouldn't say 5 names who are definitely going to be involved, and you definitely couldn't pick 5 positions that they're all going to be in and what their jobs are going to be. Like, there's too many of them. So many of them overlap. And there's not a set. There's not like a set which definitely works together there in any of the main areas. Like, you couldn't pick 3 centre mids who would definitely, absolutely 100% work together. You couldn't pick a forward line which covers all the bases that you would normally want. And if you want to pick a centre-back partnership out of the 9 options they've got, you're more than welcome to, but I bet you they don't play more than 8 times together this season.
I mean, this is the thing. And, just to wrap up their bizarre summer, they drew at Wrexham, they got absolutely demolished by Celtic, they beat Club America, they lost to Man City, and they lost to Real Madrid, and now they play into Milan on the 11th in what will be their final friendly. And we'll see how it goes. But, when you look at the squad, so just goalkeepers, Robert Sanchez, Philip Jorgensen, Marcus Bettinelli, Dore Petrovic, Lucas Bergstrom, Eddie Beach, Kepa Arrizabalaga, and Gabriel Slonina, all at the club. Who's the number 1? Is it Jorgensen that they paid 20 plus million for this summer? Is it Sanchez, who they paid 20 plus million for last summer? Is it Petrovic, who was the number 1 last season once Sanchez proved he wasn't very good? Like the centre-back situation. Who's the starting right-side centre-back? Is it Axel Disasi? Is it Tosin Darabayo? Is it potentially Wesley Fofana? Who knows? And we talk about this all the time. Football is a very simple game. One of the most important things you can have when building a team is partnerships. You need a partnership at centre-back. You need to have a partnership between your centre-backs and your goalkeeper. You need a partnership in midfield. You need partnerships between right-side centre-back and right-back, left-side centre-back and left-back and left wing, right-back and right wing, attacking midfield and striker, wingers and striker. You need to have partnerships. You need to have cohesion. And yet, like you say, you look at this team and there is an immense amount of talent. It is frankly ridiculous how much talent they have on their books. And yet, I have no idea what their team looks like. Just take Cole Palmer, for example. Last season, undeniably their best player. Is he playing on the right? Is he playing as the 10? If he's playing on the right, who's the 10? Is it Nkunku? Or is it someone like Dewsbury Hall? Is it more of a midfield player? If it's Dewsbury Hall, is Nkunku then on the left? If Palmer and Nkunku are on the wings and Nicholas Jackson is the 9, is that really a front 3 that is going to be maximised? What's the double pivot pairing? Is it Caicedo and Enzo again? Because that doesn't work. That is not a pairing that works. They're both brilliant individually, but together, they don't work. Their skill sets overlap far too much. And in building the partnerships that we talk about up and down the pitch, you're looking for complementary skill sets. And again, likewise at centre-back. What is the starting centre-back pairing? I would say Wesley Fofana and Levi Colwill are the 2 best centre-backs they have. I don't necessarily think that's a great partnership. I'm not sure Colwill and if it's Malo Gusto playing as a left-back who steps into midfield, I don't really see if that works. I don't know who the left-back is going to be. There's talk that Ben Chilwell, who's, well, all things considered, he's an England international, he's in his prime, he's the club vice-captain, that he doesn't fit how the manager wants his left-back to play. So how does he want the left back to play? It's just up and down, Karl. There's literally, when I try and think of what the Chelsea starting 11 will be, I get to Reece James. I skip goalkeeper. I get to Reece James. I think, right, he'll be the right back. And then I think to myself, but how many games is he going to play? How many games a season can I actually rely on Reece James to play? Because last season he played 11. The season before he played 24. This is all competitions. He has missed, in the 5 seasons he has been at Chelsea, not counting that season he had on loan at Wigan, which was sort of before he broke through at Chelsea. Just in the 5 seasons he's been at Chelsea, he has missed over 2 full Premier League seasons worth of games. In 5 years. That's incredible. And yet, he's their captain. They're going to be hugely reliant on him. And I just don't... From there, it just gets worse.
It really does. It's a big, big job, but I do really, really feel that they've made it bigger for themselves, or for the new manager, more to the point, by again bringing in more people. This summer should have been about 3 things for Chelsea: fixing a manager who you're going to have for 3 years, definitely. Now, they've chosen an unproven route with presumably lots of people speaking very highly of him as a coach and all the rest of it. So fine, they've chosen that route. I haven't spoken to anybody who thinks he's going to be there for 2 full seasons, let's say. Some people think he'll see out the full season. Obviously, a lot of people, because it's Chelsea, think he'll be gone by Christmas and that sort of thing. I don't think he'll be gone by Christmas. But again, I think a lot of how long he will last will depend on this conversation that I'd love to know. What do they think is reasonable this season? Because I just don't see any way that he can come in and transform this into a top 6 side. Like, no way at all. I really just don't. There's too much to do. Other teams are obviously trying to improve themselves along the way. We can say, basically, there's 3 positions which are like non-negotiable, and then...
This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday. And you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with Multiview, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action. Make your Sundays more magical. And also, YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
This episode is brought to you by Experian. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use but can't find the time or energy to cancel them? Experian could cancel unwanted subscriptions for you, saving you an average of $270 per year and plenty of time. Download the Experian app. Results will vary. Not all subscriptions are eligible. Savings are not guaranteed. Paid membership with connected payment account required.
Whoever does well, whoever isn't rubbish, whoever finds consistency and so on. Pochettino got Chelsea into 6th right at the end of the season on the back of a 5-match winning streak. And they decided that they wanted different things. Now, I like you, I don't think this Man United side are a worry for the top 5-6 sides. Like, maybe they'll finish 6th or whatever. It'll be quite close between them again. Newcastle I expect to be better this year.
Yeah, me too.
Quite considerably better. Like, injury issues that they had last year were absolutely horrific.
Yeah. No European football this year.
European football, yeah, exactly. Big thing. So I expect Newcastle to be considerably better. Tottenham, I think they'll be hit and miss again to an extent, but I do think that they'll be improved overall. I think Chelsea have a huge fight to finish 6th again. And this squad, like, too many of the squad, like we talk about, like, there's too many options, and that's fine, but I think too many of them are, like, not clearly that good either. Like, not out of outside of Cole Palmer, they're, let's say, wide stroke attacking midfield options. Callum Mudryk cost a fortune and has nowhere near proven himself.
No.
Conor Gallagher, who they are insistent on selling because they must, despite him being one of their better players last season. Potentially Dewsbury Hall, who is now coming up from the Championship. Fine, you like him, you rate him as a player.
I don't rate him as a starter for a team with top four ambition, though.
Exactly that. Raheem Sterling, who has lost his place and lost his way entirely, seemingly. Noni Madueke, who is far from convinced, certainly not as a starter. Good impact option, fine. But is he, again, going to be a difference maker between 6th and 7th or 4th and 5th? He's not. Christopher Nkunku, who is an excellent player, but had a very tough year after a very long injury. There's no definites there. No, just not. And even up front, where they've been going on about needing a number 9, needing a goal scorer, needing a focal point. Okay, they've brought in another young player. They've got Amanda Broja back from loan, who they don't want. Nicholas Jackson, who doesn't play in the exact way that they want. Romelu Lukaku, who they don't want and who doesn't want to be there either. Where is this supposed to be?
This is the thing. This is the thing. I mean, Nicholas Jackson's not a reliable source of goals. Armando Broja is not a reliable source of goals. Mark Gui is a child. He's 18. He's not a reliable source of goals. And Samu Omadori...
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
What's House's... O'Meridian? I don't know. Whatever his name was. He's coming in. He's not going to be a reliable source of goals, in my opinion, in year one. So I other than Cole Palmer once again going absolutely bananas and getting 9 more penalties next season, I don't see where the reliable source of goals is. And then, like we say, you look back to the team and there's nobody that I would look at. There's literally not one player, not one that I would look at Chelsea and think he has to be in the team long term. And there's obviously players like Reece James, but I've given you the injury history. So I couldn't in good conscience look at Reece James and think, well, he's nailed on to be my right back for the next 5 years.
And even aside from that, Malo Gusto was the better one.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. If I'd been running Chelsea, there's 3 things I would have looked to have done this past season. Number 1 would be just to find, again, a reliable source of goals. Someone that can give me 18 to 20 Premier League goals. I probably would have gone and seen what Brentford would have taken for Ivan Toney. I know he's not a big star, but I probably would have gone for him. The second thing I would have done is I would have explored a way to get Enzo Fernandez out of the club. You know I'm a huge Enzo Fernandez fan, but I would have looked to move him on, potentially to PSG, who were looking for a controlling midfielder, and then I would have been the one to go and get João Neves, because Neves would have fit like a glove with Caicedo. That midfield pairing would have been incredibly good. But I would have looked to move Enzo on, even if I had to take a bit of a loss on it. I would have looked to move him on and just split that midfield pairing up because it doesn't work. The third thing I would have done is I would have called every top club in Europe and offered them Reece James. Because I cannot rely on him to stay fit. Season after season, he lets you down with an injury. Now, it's not his fault, obviously. Part of it is, though, because he walks around like some sort of hulked up bodybuilder. He carries far too much muscle for no reason. Like, this is not American football. It's not rugby. That physique does not lend itself to playing high-level football 50 times a season, year after year. I would have looked to move him on as well. Malo Gusto steps in at right back and we move. And I can reinvest that money somewhere else. I think they have continually made mistakes. And you look at the squad and it's just like, it's so much unproven, unknown. Colwell, still unproven. Gusto, as a starter, still unproven. Renato Viega, who they've brought in, completely unproven. Bashir Humphreys, completely unproven. Ogachukwu, unproven. Chukwuemeka, unproven. Caicedo, unproven. Omari Kellyman, they paid 20 million for him. Nobody has a clue if he's going to be able to play at the Premier League level. Romeo Lavia is unproven. Like, it's just such a bizarrely put together squad. And like, you know, you look beyond this and you see players like Andre Santos, huge talent. He's been sent out on loan for the season rather than being given an opportunity. But it's fine because he's on a 7-year contract. They've got these youngsters lined up to come in from Brazil when they're 18. Brilliant. And then 2 or 3 years after that, they might be good enough to play every week in the Premier League. Tremendous stuff. You signed Kendry Paez at 16, did you? That's a great signing for 4 years down the line. Willian Estevao, great signing at 16 for £60 million for 4 years down the line. Like, a big part of the problem is you've got two lads who are the co-sporting directors who'd never been sporting directors before and are literally playing Football Manager in real life and just spending with reckless abandon. And nobody seems to stop them. Nobody's looking at these signings and thinking, well, hang on, who's actually helping us now? Like, I know they got Tosin and they got Dewsbury Hall, and you could pop them into the team and they'd be reliable mid-table players, like really good mid-table players. But surely the aim for Chelsea is not mid-table. Like, they're not players that come in and elevate the level of your team to get you into the top 4. As I said at the start, this is the type of window that I'd expect from Bournemouth, Brentford, Palace. It's not the type of window you expect from a club that have spent over £1 billion and surely to God have to have top 4 ambition.
Right now, then, as things are, Chelsea squad as they are, head coach as he is, where are you putting them? Top 6, 7th or 8th, or below that?
7th or 8th right now. I have them in United 7th and 8th in either order.
Yeah,
I have last year's top 5 and Newcastle as my top 6 this year. And I think Chelsea are below that. And Chelsea have more talent, more overall talent than...
More mess.
But they've so much more mess. They've so much more unproven players in the squad and a completely unproven manager at this level. So, like, he's had 2 jobs as a head coach. One was a disaster at Parma, and one he got Leicester promoted, and fair play to him. But there was a point last season where it looked like it was all going to fall apart on him. And that was at Leicester, where he got time and patience to turn it around. Chelsea don't give anybody time and patience, so I don't know. It's a weird one.
Just to add a final point on that, Maresca still hasn't managed a top-flight game. I think that's being wildly overlooked in some quarters at the minute.
Yeah.
And secondly, They do have European football, which, can work both ways. It's going to be difficult for the Thursdays and blah, 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 blah. But they are not a guarantee of European football, I would say. Their qualifier is against Braga or Servette, which I would assume is therefore Braga. I don't think it's a guarantee that the shape that Chelsea are in right now, that they beat Braga over 2 legs.
If they play like they have in pre-season, I think they could get embarrassed in one of the games because there's so much space to play in.
Mm.
Like, I watched that Celtic game and I could not believe what I was seeing, Karl. It was genuinely like Celtic were the team who play at a higher level. Now, I know Rodgers has had time there and he's implemented his system and Maresca's still new, but like I watched most of the Wrexham game and it was not obvious who the League One team was. Like they just didn't look like a cohesive, well-coached team. And again, Phil Parkinson's been there years and he's implemented a system and a shape, and they're riding high after back-to-back promotions. But back-to-back promotions from the National League and League Two.
Mm.
This Chelsea team were Premier League and they just looked awful. I hope they get into Europe, though, just because it'll make their season all the more difficult. And, Chelsea difficulty is something that I enjoy.
And to be fair, if Chelsea are not in the newly rebranded UEFA Conference League, I will not have any opportunity to keep any kind of a third of an eye on it. And it's a new format, obviously, so we should really see how it goes at the very least. But if Chelsea are in it, I probably won't even glance.
No, I'm the same. Right, let's move on. Crystal Palace, full season of Oliver Glasner. They've signed Chadi Riyad, Daichi Kamada, and Ismail Assar. They've obviously lost Michael Elise to Bayern Munich, and it does look like Mark Guehi could be the next one going out the door to Newcastle. But Karl, they ended last season looking like the best team in the league. They finished in the top half, which was a tremendous achievement for them, especially considering they were managed by Roy Hodgson for much of the year. It's a talented group of players, but you start subtracting big hitters like Elise and like Guehi, and the cupboard does become a little bit more bare. But I do really like the signings that they've made, and I'm sure they've still got a bit more to do. They'll have a lot more to do if Guehi leaves, but they'll get a full season of Adam Wharton. They get Czech Doucouré back, and that's a midfield pairing that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Like Chelsea, that's what a midfield pairing will look like, not what you have that you spent 224 million on. This is a midfield that Crystal Palace will have spent 38 million on, and without even having played together, I can tell you they're going to fit together better because their skill sets will complement each other and not completely overlap.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Doucouré's length of time out does mean it'll be a while for him to get back to full fitness and full tempo, let's say, in Premier League terms. But yeah, that's I think there are so many reasons for Palace to be really optimistic about this. I know what you're saying about like Michael Elise leaving and that, and yes, he's a big part, but you know how much I like Daichi Kamada. I think that's an incredible signing on a free. Like, I think he fits them perfectly. Partly because we've already seen him in this system. Partly because I think he's just getting a little bit better. I think he is someone who will just work really, really well in the league as it is right now, the type of player that thrives and type of players who have a big impact on games regularly. In Glasner's system, we also saw him play as one of the central midfielders at times, not just one of the ones behind the forward. So you may well see, at times in certain games, a much more adventurous version of Crystal Palace than we have done over the last, half a dozen years?
Over the past 25 years, maybe? Other than those 5 wonderful games under Frank de Boer. I still don't understand how they got Daichi Kamada on a free. Like, I just can't wrap my head around it. So he's at Eintracht Frankfurt. He leaves Eintracht on a free, goes to Lazio on a 2-year contract. And then at the end of the first season, there's some sort of kerfuffle over whether or not he's going to extend his contract for the year. And all of a sudden he's a free agent. And Crystal Palace are just like, oh, we'll take him.
Yeah.
He knows our manager. He works in the system. And Kamada's like, oh, yeah, no, Crystal Palace, that's exactly where I want to go. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant business to get him on a free. He's such a good player. And he's right in his prime. Like you say, he's got immense versatility, can play a bunch of different positions. I'm really looking forward to seeing them this season. I really, really am. I think Chadi Riyad's a really good signing. I don't think Palace fans are ready for how good he's going to be for them. And I think the Ismail Assar one is a really interesting addition to the squad.
Yeah,
because he gives them a bit more natural width if they want to use it. He could play as a wing back if necessary. But I think there'll be really good versatility in the squad. You're going to get Mateta back off a really good Olympics, regardless of whether France win gold or not. He's had a really good Olympics. And you've kept Eze, you're going to keep Wharton, you're going to keep Doucouré. You may keep Guehi, we'll see. It seems like it's all going in the right direction for them, which isn't something we'd normally say for Crystal Palace.
No, and we've spoken about it for 4 years, 5 years, something like that they needed this kind of direction, and they did it. They went for it first time with Vieira, but when it didn't keep going to plan, they went backwards instead of finding in slightly different direction or slightly better version of what they were doing coaching wise or whatever. They just went completely backwards, and that was a really frustrating time, even for a non-Crystal Palace fan, to be honest, because the club, the locality of it, the way that they've sort of positioned themselves as a place for Championship or Football League players to go to as a gateway to the Premier League and prove themselves, and so really, really good. Like, they have everything they need to be in place to grow as a club, and they just needed that football side of it, if you like, which I know is obviously the most difficult part of it, but you have to have a plan and a way of going about that, and now finally they look like they've put that bit in place again. Glasner, really good coach. His system is, I would say, replicable for if and when he does move on, that other people can continue the job. Certainly loads and loads of younger, modern managers play at a very similar shape now. I just think that this is a really, really good starting point for them for a full season under him. And like you say, it could go top half is going to be the aim, I would say, because of how they finished last season and what they're doing to the squad at the middle. But I do think that they could, for quite a lot of the part of the season, let's say the first 2/3, and then we see how injuries and all the rest of it affects things, match, I think, those United-Chelsea group that we were just talking about before.
Yeah, look, if things go their way, I think it's definitely possible. A couple more additions maybe. But there's a lot of talent there. They've got a very, very good manager. A better manager than either United or Chelsea, frankly. Oliver Glasner is one of... I would say he's maybe in my top 5 managers in the Premier League. To be completely honest, I think he's that level. So yeah, I mean, like, he did a great job at Wolfsburg, he did a great job at Eintracht, and he started brilliantly at Palace. Just going to read you a list of Crystal Palace managers, Karl. This is from 1984 onwards. Steve Coppell, Alan Smith, Steve Coppell again, Dave Bassett, Steve Coppell again, Attilio Lombardo for 7 games, Ron Nodes as a caretaker, Terry Venables, Steve Coppell again, Alan Smith again, Steve Kember as a caretaker, Steve Bruce, Steve Kember again as a caretaker, Trevor Francis, Steve Kember again as a caretaker, Kit Simons, Ian Dowie, Peter Taylor, Neil Warnock, Paul Hart, George Burley, Dougie Friedman, Curtis Fleming as a caretaker, Ian Holloway, Ethan Millen as a caretaker, Tony Pulis, Keith Millen again as a caretaker. Neil Warnock, Keith Millen again as a caretaker. Alan Pardew, Sam Allardyce, Frank de Boer for 5 games. Roy Hodgson, Patrick Vieira, Roy Hodgson again, Paddy McCarthy as a caretaker, and now Oliver Glasner. That is 40 years of the most dinosaur managers you could possibly imagine. Lots of long balls played at Selhurst Park over the last 40 years. But they had pretty much the entire dinosaur collective. They had Pulis, they had Warnock, they had Allardyce, they had Hodgson. Like, that is spectacular to have all 4 of them. The only one they missed out on, and to be fair, he's not really a dinosaur. He just looks like he should be 153 years old. The only one they missed out on is David Moyes. But they still have time. If Glasner decides to leave in a year, Moisey might be ready to jump back in. But my God, that's grim. Let's move on. Everton Football Club.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.